guys, what's going on? This is a very special episode of the Invincibles. You guys know who we are. I'm Zan,
I'm Oli.
and this month or earlier this month, it was the 6 month anniversary, right? Like, or
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that's not
It's
how.
just towards the end of last month it was. So
Okay, yeah, like I
yeah,
know that's not how anniversaries work, but you guys know what I mean. 6 months ago to the date, we started the Invincibles podcast, and we were just kind of reminiscing about that before we started recording. And we want you guys in on today's conversation. First of all, excuse me, sorry, my throat is very raspy. I've been sick for the past week. That's why we didn't record last week. So apologies for that. But first and foremost, we want to thank you guys for listening to our podcast every week, nearly every week. We've never had a content drought. We've never just straight up canceled, the podcast. That podcasts die 90% of 87% of podcasts die within the first 2 months of the podcast. So we're 6 months in, and we want to thank you guys for that heartbeat, so to speak, because you guys are giving us numbers on YouTube. Like Ollie, you were saying our Bray Wyatt episode, how much views is it at now?
I think it's on 130 now, and that obviously means a lot to us because we didn't push that episode at all. Literally just said to people that here we've done this episode, here it is, and that's quite special because I feel like people have sort of connecting with what we had to say about him, and obviously we didn't try to profit off that whatsoever. We just wanted to pay tribute, and I think people have connected with what we had to say, and yeah, I think that's quite special.
Yeah, and we were just straight shooting from the heart, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
we weren't trying to TikTok it or anything. So that just kind of showed, obviously the topic is going to gain viewers, but most importantly, people stuck around for who we are, what we have to say. We can get into it, bro. Like, what kind of made you want to do this podcast? Like what made this even happen? And I know we know, I just got to ask these questions, but like what so the people know, like, what kind of got this whole thing going and why?
So we sort of knew each other through MCU Geeks for people who uh, don't know that. And I think it was around April last year. I'd been with MCU Geeks a couple of months. We started chatting about wrestling. We discovered we both like wrestling. And then we just started talking about wrestling more and more. And then I'd stay up to watch the events, and then we'd be texting because we'd be up at the same time. And then I think it was around Extreme Rules time, so about October last year, we started talking about the idea of doing like a wrestling podcast, didn't we? And
Yeah,
do you remember? Do you remember the name that we came up with?
Was four in there, or a
Oh,
square motif in there?
I was remember. I think that might have been in a later one, but I think the first one we had was the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Pod or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
And we had a couple logos drawn up for that that I think I can probably find and stick on the screen or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
the proto Invincibles.
yeah, and then we sort of we there was a big sort of exodus of all the MCU Geeks writers, wasn't there? Around Christmas, New Year time. Um,
Yeah,
Basically, we
yeah.
discovered the leader of MCU Geeks was a massive incel. So
Bro, that MCU Geeks has cost me so much freaking job opportunities. I'm being serious. Um, do we want to get into that? Like,
yeah,
not the jobs, but MCU Geeks and or whatever.
it's a big part of why the Invincibles exist. So if I think if MCU Geeks had never happened and sort of, well,
Yeah,
obviously if it never had happened, we would have never met
yeah.
probably.
Mm-hmm.
And if that exodus of everyone leaving had never happened, we were still just writing for them. Maybe the
Mm-hmm.
Invincibles would never have happened. Maybe it might have happened, but be just a wrestling podcast. So
Right.
I think it's important to. I think I'll let you explain what happened.
So pretty much, there's a lot that not a lot actually happened, but there's a lot that kind of led up to that, the massive exodus. Okay, so I went to Full Sail University. I want to say the 2021 to the 2022 school year. Okay. And I went, excuse me, my throat's really bad. COVID-19 is real, everybody. Because there's a lot of Americans, bro, that still think it's fake. But anyway,
A lot of Brits as well, trust me.
oh, yeah, I need to visit. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So at the time of October, I think what it was as a writer, the number one thing that they taught us in school, and this is pretty common sense as well, but you'd be surprised how much common sense is invisible until you point it out. And that was to make yourself known. You got to start writing, you got to have your name out there. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I want to make comic books and I want to make movies, right? And I still haven't done it, and we can get into that later. But if it's important to the convo. But I think the biggest thing was that I needed to have my name be attached to writing, to a portfolio, so I can show to other people what I have been able to do from a professional sense. Because especially in the writing field, a field that is being under attack with AI and then the writers strike as well. Because make no mistake, the writers at Vox, at New York Times, I mean, it's pretty comparable. They're not getting what they deserve either. You only have your top 1% reporters. And it really should be more of an inclusive environment. But I also speak from somebody who's not even in the journalist field, just literally from what classes and guests at seminars have said through school. But I think the biggest thing is I was in a position of pressure where I was like, I have a year until I graduate. It was a year-long program to get my master's. So I needed to be able to show for something at the end of that year. And so I was like, if I can only make 2 scripts, of which is not funded or shot, right? Like, because we didn't have those capabilities, but just written to pitch well, like a spec script, I can do that, right?
Mhm.
I was doing that. But the problem with spec scripts is you're only going to get 2 or 3 really good ones that you pitch everywhere, right? Especially in a year. And while I believe, I am a good writer and I believe I have the skills and the competencies to have a job in the field, to say I'm a good writer or to say I'm a great writer or talented, I still don't feel that yet. And, I appreciate your kind words and everybody's kind words. Everybody always says I have like these creative ideas. But to me, in my head, there's always, and this ties to MCU Geeks, there's an element of every story arc is repeated, right? Everything that I think about has already been done, right? A Star Wars has been done. The themes and the tropes and superheroism has been done over and over and over. So in my head, I always thought there is nothing I can provide to the film, comic book, TV world that hasn't been done already and done better. Right? Like that is the single biggest thought I constantly have to battle in my head. That's the reason I still don't have any workout, like from a script writing perspective, because of that imposter syndrome. Like, I'm like, how can you got Christopher Nolan's out there,
Mm.
you know? And then there's me. Like, how can I do what he does better? And I think a lot of, because it's not just having a cool idea and writing cool characters, there's an actual science. There's an actual sense of mastery, right? Like, when one of the textbooks I read for class, this mastery textbooks, and it said, the more you immerse yourself in whatever field you're in, you begin to develop instincts and just develop natural intuition to
Mhm.
what is good and what is not, right? So for me to have that natural intuition to know what is good or what is not, I have to put in the time that these guys have done. Man, I'm in grad school for this. They're making multi-million-dollar movies. How can I compete? So that single thought has just destroyed, I'm not going to lie, then and now, a lot of my self-confidence, and I'm really trying to get that back. Because I have ideas, but then I just don't believe in them. Like, after the initial idea, I don't know where to go from there. Nothing in my brain seems creative enough. Maybe I have to do something completely out there that breaks the norms of everything for me to be like, yeah, this is something I can write. But I was then, and I am now, in like this gray space where I feel like nothing I do is good enough, and I'm not good enough. That's the biggest thing that I struggle with. So to tie that into MCU Geeks, I was like, there's not enough scripts I can make right now, right, to get me out there. But if I can have my name out there as a writer, I can make connections, right? I can write an article for a good director who can then maybe get me on set just for a limited role so I can meet other people, like networking like that. And I would argue, have strong opinions and I want them out there. So I started to freelance write articles and just write articles to get my name out there. And those small interviews and small pieces of work had enough on my resume to when I was on Twitter in October of 2020 of that year, 2021 of that year. I saw a tweet from MCU Geeks, which was, I don't want to say his last name, simply because I feel like we could get sued. But
should I bleep the, and should we come up with a pseudonym?
Let's call him Wallace.
Wallace. Okay.
Yeah, he looks like a Wallace. Let's call him Wallace.
Okay.
All right. So MCU Geeks, founded by Wallace, is what we'll call him. Wallace had put out a tweet saying, if you're a writer and you have experience in SEO and actually getting clicks on a website, like DM me, send me your portfolio, your resume, we can talk. And I thought that was legit, right? Like, and it was, I will be fair, MCU Geeks was, I would argue, a very credible organization, I want to say, until after Christmas of No Way Home. Then it kind of took it downhill, I would argue. But yeah, pretty much he was very professional. Wallace, when we communicated through DM, it did not sound like an 18-year-old kid. It sounded like a 32-year-old firm broker, like that's how we communicated. So I was very excited with this opportunity because I'm like, this is probably a fresh startup new media company that is credible with solid people behind it that I can be a part of and show to other employers as a content writer that I know how to get clicks on a new business. I smell like money because I showed this small business how to make money. That's where my head was at, right? And I would have a good portfolio resume of work. And I'd be talking about stuff I loved, right? Marvel comics, stuff like that. I DM'd him. He gets back with me 2 weeks later, says, you're in the team. And then, yes, it was me, Max, Griff, Patrick. There was a guy named Adam, but then he left the group and he wasn't a part of it. There was a guy named Leo, but he ended up getting kicked because he never answered any messages. And then we had a second batch of people where you came in, Nacho. Who else?
There was
Ben?
one. Yeah, I think Ben might have came same batch as me. I know me and Nacho were both sort of put on sort of at first writing about comic books rather than the films and stuff like that.
And that fell apart.
Oh, yeah.
So when we started that, right? So before you got in there, right? MCU Geeks was very on, and I'm not saying it wasn't on top after, but there was money to be made because of No Way Home. People forget how much of an adrenaline shot No Way Home really was for cinema. Okay, because we're talking about COVID, we're talking about not a lot of great quality movies, right? MCU is repetitive, right? Keep in mind, there was this fervor of where is No Way Home? Where is No Way Home? There's no trailer, no marketing, nothing until maybe a month and a half before the movie came out, which was insane. But hey, it got him $2 billion. But
if that film had been released outside of a pandemic and it had been released in China, it'd be close to being the highest grossing film ever.
Yes. That just shows how much No Way Home was needed. I know people are going to say, oh, the script wasn't great. Oh, it wasn't accurate to the Spider-Man character. Listen, we're talking business right now. We're talking business. Put down your Transformers collectibles for a minute. We're talking business right now. Okay, and I'm not dissing. I love Transformers. Shout out Transformers. But we're talking business right now, bro. No Way Home saved. I will say this. No Way Home saved the box office. From the pandemic's negative financial affect. That's just what it was. It saved it. It made so much money. So because there was so much articles on No Way Home, social media tweets on No Way Home, it was very easy for MCU Geeks to get like 10,000 followers because we were talking about that movie so much. And we actually loved to talk about No Way Home. Like, that movie is exciting as hell, bro. Like, I love how the movie has stood the test of time, because the best parts about the movie aren't necessarily Toby and Andrew, even though they were fantastic parts of it. But I argue Tom Holland's character journey was what we think about when we think about No Way Home. So, and what the future of the character can be because of No Way Home. Like, No Way Home is huge. It's influential to the Spider-Man character in the MCU. Because of that huge just desire to know more about this film that isn't being marketed at all, MCU Geeks and a lot of other articles and social media became the free advertisement for Sony. Sony paid very little money for that advertising because of us fans. And I'm happy to do it because I love that movie. But we were the free marketing for them. We were, when people are saying, where's the No Way Home trailer? That's it, really.
Yeah.
You talking about the trailer is the trailer, because it did what a trailer would do, get people talking about the movie. So
I remember it was so painful waiting for that trailer. I remember having dreams about the trailer. I remember how I was having a dream that I was watching the trailer.
Yeah, bro, fans were so freaking. Do you remember we were freaking out about the half CGI trailer that was leaked and 480p pixelated recording?
Yeah, someone had screen recorded it and then filmed a screen recording, and that was screen. Yeah, it was mess.
And the Hello Peter, like, we're all, is that real? Is that real? Blah blah blah. Like, I love that era. I don't think we're ever going to get a superhero experience like No Way Home ever again. I just don't see how. I just
that
don't
was
see
once
how.
in a lifetime. That
I just don't see. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Maybe if, actually, no, I don't see it. I don't see any. No Avengers film. I would argue the hype for No Way Home beat Endgame.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely. For me, by far.
Because you might have your heroes, but there's only one Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the biggest freaking superhero of all time for a reason. Being a spider person is better in the eyes of the public than Justice League or being a leader of the Avengers. Versus if you can be a second tier Spider-Man character, yeah, that's better just because of the brand.
Yeah.
Think about that. So, and I'm getting off topic. So we made a lot of clicks. Our articles were blowing up on No Way Home. Me, you, Max, Nacho, Patrick. I mean, our No Way Home articles were freaking, and we're getting a lot of clicks on the MCU Geeks website, to the point where we're getting famous people following us now. Okay. I haven't talked to one of the celebrities in a while, so I don't want to be disrespectful and list their name here as if we're tight. But I will say we had a professional relationship and a really good time working with Carlos Navarro from Hawkeye. So our articles were doing so well, we were getting their attention. So we had reached out to Carlos Navarro, and he played Enrique, well, one of the Tracksuit Mafia in Hawkeye. And he's great. Follow him on Instagram, to the top Carlos. He also does a lot of motivational speaking, and he's just a breath of fresh air. He's such a nice guy. I love talking to him. I haven't talked to him in a minute. But yeah, he's great, guys. Follow him. Follow his tap-in sessions. Those are great. Talk about self-help and stuff like that. So anyway, we're getting networks with famous people in the MCU now, actors, doing interviews with them. We did an interview with them. We uploaded and recorded an interview with them on the MCU Geeks YouTube, which I think is still up. But we did a fantastic job with time with Carlos, right? So MCU Geeks is actually getting me somewhere in the professional world, to the point where Screen Rant reached out to me and I started freelance writing for them. Okay. And then my time and my, our clicks, like we got 25,000 clicks in a night on one of the Tobey Maguire articles I had wrote, because I said uh Tobey Maguire's likeness, like his Spider-Man suit, was on a dog treat on like a PetSmart, and it completely spoiled No Way Home, and nobody would know about it. But I was at the pet store, I saw it. I was like, nobody would have ever thought to look at a pet store. I mean, it's genius, I guess. So I said, no way, it's Tobey Maguire. No Way Home. It's Tobey. Anyway, um, that did a lot. That article is what got me my job at Roundtable Learning, which is a professional VR selling company. So MCU Geeks, I say all of that to say MCU Geeks did help me professionally. The opportunity it provided for me, the clicks we were getting, and No Way Home just provided a massive spotlight on my writing ability and yours and Max, to the point where I feel like it benefited all of us, because that movie allowed the world to see what we can do.
Mhm.
After No Way Home, I'm not gonna lie, we as a collective stopped caring that much. At least I did. I could tell it pissed Wallace off. So, for example, I was in grad school, right? I'm not, I'm grinding. I'm, getting interviews, professional interviews, like the Screen Rant thing, Roundtable Learning at the time. So a lot, I felt like where he felt like I had let him down was I was giving him a lot of this time and energy into MCU Geeks, and then I switched up on him. But it was never like that. It was more like, bro, like, I'm not getting paid for these articles,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Exactly, and is similar thing for me. Like that was my final year of university, so I had all my assignments to do. I had my dissertation to write. So obviously, MCU Geeks towards sort of April, May time was not a priority.
yeah, because you have to eat.
Hmm.
And all the money that I was making from Screen Rant freelancing, right, from Roundtable Learning, which became my full-time job at the time, bro, like, I needed to provide, like, because at Roundtable we're dealing with health hazards, safety hazards, because making, VR headsets, you have to always have those legal disclaimers. I have to focus to detail, minute detail, about, everything that has to do with that software, everything that has to do with safety concerns, all of that.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I can't watch Moon Knight episode 1 to 6 in 3 days. I can't. You asked me back in November. If you had asked me, yeah, I would have done it. I just don't have the time anymore. And I felt like one thing was he was literally an 18-year-old kid,
Hmm.
versus like I'm 27. You know what I mean? Like, at now. So it was like, I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to be a professional. I'm trying to make a legacy. And MCU Geeks at the time is not giving me the platform that these other opportunities are. But I was never late on actually, I'm lying. I became late to a lot of deadlines because of that. And I know Max was going through school as well. You're going through school. Um and so it became a lot of, hey, or crap, hey, Wallace. Wallace would DM in the group chat, hey, can somebody get this article done? We'd get it, and we'd
Hmm.
get it submitted. But versus before No Way Home, like, we were doing that proactively. Like, I remember I was at work at one of the autism schools I was working with, and while I'm in between sessions with kids, I'm on my phone on Google Docs typing up an article, emailing it, because I'm like, people need to see this now. We need these clicks now, you know
Yeah.
seeing that opportunity there. um so yeah, that was the culture of MCU Geeks, man. Like, that's what it was. It actually provided a legitimate thing. But after No Way Home, we weren't getting a lot of views on the site. We still were getting a healthy amount, but nowhere near, like, bro, we hit 500,000 at a point because of No Way Home. Think about that. Now
Hmm.
to go to like 9,000, 5,000, yeah, like, that shattered all of our, expectations. Um, but we were cool with it. But I think because a lot of us were so much older than him, we had other stuff in our life that was giving us the
And
spotlight.
I don't know if this is maybe revealing a bit too much, but he didn't work. Like, he had money from his mum and dad,
Right.
so he didn't have the same responsibilities, priorities that a lot of the rest of us did.
Yeah. And we would, it's not like we would blow him off. Like we would do it, but I don't think he realized just how demanding the world of writing and editing really is.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling us to do like 350 page, article counts in like 2 days. And it's like, bro, especially on top of grad school, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like the beginnings of what kind of set the implosion. So now I'm going to shut up. Do you want
Yep.
to talk about the entire implosion story?
So I sort of echo a lot of the things that you sort of mentioned, where like I had other responsibilities. I was finishing university, and then very soon out of university, I got my first full-time job. So all my focus was in that, really. Like, I was working 5 days a week, leaving the house at 6 in the morning, coming back about 6, 7 at night, because I had to travel. I had to get a train and a bus to work, and then just didn't have as much energy for it anymore. But I was still producing articles for Wallace, and to a decent standard as well. Like, researching things, um, putting a lot of detail into the articles, like not just 300-word clickbait, stuff, like well researched things. And I don't. One thing that, thinking back at it, I don't really remember Wallace um, saying thank you very much as well for all the work we put in.
Yeah, he very, very, very minimal.
Yeah. So towards sort of the end of last year, I think the last article I did, something about Dua Lipa joining the MCU or something stupid like that, because that was what apparently we had to cover. That was like November time, and then I think that was the last one I did. But obviously, I was still in the group chat with everyone. I was still part of MCU Geeks, and then it was when I was off work for Christmas, because I had about 2 weeks off work over Christmas and New Year. It was between Christmas and New Year that I discovered, and Reese discovered, that Wallace, through his Twitter activity, we discovered that he was a very, very big fan of one Andrew Tate. And I noticed it, and then I thought, oh, that's a bit dodgy. Maybe I don't want to write for this guy anymore. And then a couple hours later, Reese puts in the group chat, sorry everyone, I'm leaving MCU Geeks. I've just discovered one of us is a huge fan of a certain online influencer who has very misogynistic views. Basically explained what Andrew Tate is. Everyone knows who that dickhead is. And then I messaged you about it, saying, have you seen this? I showed you some of his Twitter activity, and you were like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah,
And
because he
then
knew how much I hated him.
yeah, and then I basically said to you, yeah, I'm going as well. I future endeavored Wallace, if you remember. So
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, there's a bit of a joke within sort of wrestling fans that John Laurinaitis, who used to work for WWE, he'd be the person to sack wrestlers, to fire them. And always in the press release, when a wrestler got fired, it would say they fire, I don't know, Braun Strowman,
Ryback.
Ryback. Oh, Ryback. I want to see Ryback versus Goldberg at least once in my life.
Never gonna happen.
WWE wishes Ryback. Sometimes he'd use the real name. Ryback is his real name, actually. Now he's legally changed it.
Oh.
WWE wishes Ryback all the best in their future endeavors, and that's became like a joke within wrestling fans. Anyway, when I left MCU Geeks, I said, you know, same reasons as Reese. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, Wallace. um,
He was
and
really
then,
mad about that, actually. You
oh,
should
he
have
was
seen.
fuming. He was absolutely fuming. And
He was
then
really mad.
basically we all started chatting to each other, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, we don't want to work for someone who holds those type of views." And then every single person bar one, I think, who was Wallace's mate, left. I believe
Mhm.
you
Alex, yeah.
yeah, I believe you stayed in the group chat for a bit after I did,
Do
just
you
to
want
sort
to
of see the damage.
do you want to see what he DM me,
Yes, Alex or Wallace.
Alex?
Yeah.
Um. So real quick, I think a lot of people. I kind of want people to understand. It wasn't like we were having just difficulties meeting up with his completely unrealistic demands, and then this happened, and we're like, well, see ya. It wasn't like that. If you, I would argue, if you're a fan of superheroes, if you're a fan of this type of medium, you have a strong sense and a strong desire for social justice.
Mhm.
I find it mind-boggling that you can be a fan of superheroes, that you can be a fan of Spider-Man, and not believe in those values in real life. That just doesn't make sense to me. And reducing superheroes to just entertainment figures is a disrespect to the characters, to the medium, and to what these characters really mean. And we can do a whole other episode about that, but the way that I viewed it as a kid, superheroes taught me right from wrong. Okay, I learned about life, I learned about, social decorum, I learned about just how to critically think from superhero panels. And when people say, it's just story, it ain't that serious, like it is that
Mhm.
serious. The best stories are the ones that absolutely move you. You have to be, quote unquote, that serious for it to work that well. So when we talk about, for example, um Captain America, Tony Stark, Peter Parker, Logan, whoever you want to talk about, right? There is an element where we always talk about how these superheroes helped us in dark moments, or how we wish the world were more like these heroes, right? The reason why him, Wallace being this massive Andrew Tate fanboy, one, he was using the MCU Geeks official Twitter account to like and retweet hateful stuff about women. We write for them. We cannot
Mhm.
afford to have that label on us, especially when we are all trying to make it into this industry. Oh, you freaking get flied out by your work to go international. You
Yeah.
cannot you cannot afford to get that, you know, stench on you, can you?
No.
You're getting flown overseas by where
Literally
you work.
all over the world.
By where you work. You cannot afford to have Andrew Tate tied to your name. That's like, so that's number one. It's not like he had this private offshoot egg account that we happened to find out was him. He was
Mhm.
using our official Twitter handle and our Twitter social media and TikTok social media to comment and like and share Andrew Tate content. That's number one. Number two, how are you going to talk about cases of, we all had, we all talked about pretty serious shit in the group chat, right? That
Mhm.
I'm not even gonna label specifically, but safe to say we talked about moments that superheroes helped us get away with, or get through, excuse me, right? We talked about moments that we thought about Captain America to get through our event, to talk about Spider-Man to get through that event, right?
Yeah.
We talked about all those moments. And for that individual, Wallace, to like Andrew Tate a man who was so opposite of the beliefs of the superheroes that we hold so dear to our heart, we're like, then why are we a part of this organization? Because the heroes that we like wouldn't even stay.
Yeah.
Like Peter Parker, like the moment J. Jonah Jameson, like in the Insomniac verse, got too much for Peter, he quit. He said, I'm not doing that. There's countless examples of heroes walking away because the people in power, like Wallace was in power, were just doing the wrong thing, for lack of a better term. And while I'm not gonna lie to you, if he did privately love Andrew Tate and never even brought it up with us, but it's just something Reese exposed, I'm not gonna lie to you, I probably still would have stuck around and wrote for him, because his Andrew Tate stuff is not hurting other people. You're not talking about it on social media. You're not actually generating content for that person. If it's just somebody you like to talk about in your private time in your home and nobody's ever getting hurt, as much as I think it's bullshit and I think it's stupid, like I said, I'm also not going to cut a professional opportunity. So that would be a case. Maybe I'm morally gray, whatever. I would have still kept writing for him, just me personally. It's the fact that he used our social media and he used the MCU Geeks official account to like retweet, say awful stuff about women that we do not believe. Like, me and you do not believe a woman should be stoned. Me and you do not believe that, you can just pimp a bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? And by him retweeting and liking that stuff, he's putting a character indictment on us, and we can't afford that. So, yeah. But I mean, do you want me to read the? I mean, I don't want to. What I will say is, guys, if I'll read Alex's DM, because that one was a nice DM. I don't want to air out dirty laundry. So this was on January 4th. Hi, Zan. Just wanted to ping a message to say thanks for all the hard work you've put in. You're clearly a very talented person, and I can't wait to see where it takes you. I am sorry for how it all ended, but I fully respect and understand your decision. Take care and stay safe, mate. The reason why leaving MCU Geeks also hit hard, it's not like we had it's not like he was like, come on, man, we're friends, and he had an affable perspective that we could try to talk to. It's the fact that he was shutting us down. It's the fact he was saying, nope, you were wrong. He was very hostile, and he flipped. Like, I remember DMing you. I was like, who the hell is this kid talking to? He went from, mate, bro, love you, mate, yeah, blah, 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 to, excuse me, I'm your boss, period. Like, what?
Yeah.
So when he started to kind of show his ass to us, we were like, we don't want to be a part of this. That's another huge part about it.
I think I've got a DM from Alex as well, along the similar lines. Hi mate, just wanted to say I'm sorry to see you go. Thanks for all the work you've done. Every single article was top notch. I always enjoyed reading them. Good luck with everything. See you around the internet.
Alex was for lack of better terms, he was Alex's Alfred, man. Or Wallace's Alfred. If he was Bruce Wayne, that was his Alfred. So it's just sad to see MCU Geeks gone. And I was gonna talk about this earlier, but because that individual Wallace, we tried to buy the website, the domain, and the account from him. He didn't sell to us. Nobody else wanted to buy.
Respond.
Nobody else wanted to buy either. So it's like, bro, just sell it to us. He didn't want to sell it to us. That hurt me professionally, because a lot of my writing portfolio, 2 years of my professional career, was on that website. It's gone now because he never paid it, because nobody bought it. We could have bought it. I can't tell you how many professional writing opportunities I missed out on because so much of my portfolio was on that website. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, you should have kept it. Here's the thing I did. I had second copies. The problem is a lot of like hard copies. The problem is nobody's trying to have 3 pages of every article because the formatting is different. You know, you have your ads and everything. It's doing a lot. You know, print it out. It's doing a lot. And then quite a few employers were like, "Is this Photoshop?" Because it's like, why don't you just send me the link online? Then, you know. So he just started talking disrespectfully,
And he was making money as well from
and we
not
weren't
just
getting paid.
yeah from the MCU Geeks news website, and he was like doing pop vinyl signings with like MCU actors, making big money off that.
Jack Veal.
Jack Veal, Kid Loki, and but we were the people putting content on the site. We were the people keeping it alive. We didn't see a single penny. Yeah. Even though he said, "Oh, it's coming."
And at least for the British bros, you guys should have been getting paid. Maybe he had an argument not paying Nacho, me, Max, Pat. Okay, you have a cop out, international, whatever. You guys should have gotten paid though, especially you, because when they first brought you guys in, he like wanted it to be super professional because I worked at Screen Rant. He asked me how it was. I was like, yeah, they have a system for everything. He was like, great, we need to do the same thing. I said, okay. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna, I have this guy named Oli. He's gonna be under you, whatever. I had you write an article about Savage Spider-Man. I read it and I was like, bro, he's not fucking under me. He's unequal. He knows how to write. I'm not bossing him around. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, no, like he knows what he's doing. I would be doing more if I had to micromanage him. He knows what he's doing. What the like? In fact, like take him out of the new writers. Just put him with everybody else. He knows what he's doing. And we already lost Adam anyway. The other guy. So he was like, okay, and you know, did it like 2 weeks later. So
And like I try, like you try to help and make things, try to make things more professional. I tried to help him make things more professional and to get a higher volume of content by like signing up to mailing lists for press releases from any relevant website we'd be writing for. Because that's what I do for work. I handle incoming press releases on a daily basis, and that gets if you do that, you get lots and lots of content regularly on the website. And for like a Marvel website, you could just copy and paste most of them. And then I said, "Oh, do you want to sign up with the MCU Geeks email?" Because he had access to that. And then when it comes in, you can just forward it to any of us. And he was like, "Oh, good idea," and then just never did it.
Yeah. But then he would get mad at us for responding to DMs but not emails, which was false. I want to say that, but that was false. But I don't want to make this a crapper on MCU Geeks. It legitimately did help me professionally. It's also hurt me professionally. But if it wasn't for MCU Geeks, we wouldn't have been where we are now with the Invincibles.
Yes.
So let's talk about that, man. Like, what kind of set this all going in motion after the fall of MCU Geeks?
So you set up a group chat on Instagram with a bunch of your friends, bunch of former MCU Geeks people, and we're all saying we want to do something creatively. And everyone was sort of kind of interested, but it ended up being me, you, and your friend Twan.
Yeah.
Basically, we even recorded a first episode post Royal Rumble. I think it was day after Royal Rumble, sort of about wrestling. What was it going to be called? The Holy Shit Podcast or something like that.
Yeah. Thank God we didn't go with that.
Maybe one day that episode will see the light of day. Maybe that can be episode 100 of the Invincibles.
Yeah, episode 100.
We'll release that as a sort of a bonus thing. But obviously Twan, he's older than both of us, and getting married as well. He's got his whole life, so he's busy. So basically, it narrowed down to just me and you, and we sort of wanted to do something, but we wanted to make it more than just the wrestling podcast we banded about a couple months before. And then we thought, what do we both like? We both like wrestling. We both like Invincible. We both like Marvel superheroes. And you came up with the name, I believe, the Invincibles, because it's like Incredibles, Invincible together, superhero sort of type name. It gets the idea across. And then the first episode was about like a preview of Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Just fully wrestling based podcast. I think we talked about Quantumania,
I
maybe.
think so. I the first episodes, they were like 20 minutes on this topic, 20 minutes on that topic,
Yeah.
20. So it was like a wide assortment of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like that became kind of limiting because it's like we want to talk more about this, but this topic that we have next is kind of balls, and I don't really want to talk about. You know what I mean? So it was a learning curve for sure. I think I just really wanted, like I said, like you said, to get our names out there on something.
Mm.
Get there something. And admittedly, I have analysis paralysis, right? So I'll generate ideas, I'll come up with plans. The actual implementation of them, I tend to just stare at the screen. So I kind of needed somebody like you, who I would say you are the brains of this operation, 100%. You are the person who's like, let's get this done by this. Let's get all of these plans rolled out by this. Admittedly, I still need to get on those TikToks, but I
Oh,
think
so do I. I've got so many ideas for ones I want to edit.
but like, I kind of wanted to work with somebody who I know has the same human values as me. That's like important.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to get
Same.
close with somebody who doesn't view life in a comparable way or view people in a comparable way. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I wanted a knowledgeable person. You know what I mean? So like, we have the same taste in everything. Like,
Yeah.
literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I could bounce ideas off of you easily. I can talk about analogies from other shows easily and you get it. So having that, same foundation of content to pull from was important. But then third, it was just chemistry. Like, bro, it's it's doing podcasts are work. It never feels like work though. It just feels organic, natural. You're
Yeah.
one of my best friends anyway. You
Oh yeah.
came,
We met up. We met in person, and
right.
it's like we'd known each other for years,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
man. We were in the comic book store for how long?
Oh, I believe about 3 hours.
Jeez, bro. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it was just, it felt right to do a podcast. I think the biggest thing was, I just kind of want to have a podcast that is not the same as other nerd content, right? Like, I feel like there is a lot of just negativity, a lot of studio bashing, and they should be
Mm-hmm.
bashed financially. Don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong. Like, pay your writers more, pay your actors more.
Yes.
Um,
By
but
the way,
bro, like,
shout out to A24 as we're on that. Shout out to A24 who've been
shout out
allowed to
A24.
resume filming because they've actually agreed to the terms. They're like, oh yeah, that's fair. We'll pay everyone. If A24 can fucking afford to do it, so can you, Disney.
Yes, Netflix, Warner Bros. Did you see David Zaslav and Bob Iger were shocked that people were mad at them
Oh,
for they were
idiots.
like,
Idiots.
how disconnect, bro. I kind of wish I was that rich where the rules of life genuinely did not apply to me. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of wish I was that disconnected. Like, what do you mean people are mad I can't take more money? What? Like, I kind of like, not that I would ever want to be that, but just for like a day, I want to experience perspective life like that,
Mm-hmm.
because I know I'll never be able to. But anyway, getting off topic. I just think a lot of fan nerd stuff is, this movie sucks, that movie sucks, going off of Twitter like and retweet. I really hate how much Twitter has influenced the content that gets out. Because you're
Yeah.
gonna have we could have an episode about Far From Home is better than Amazing Spider-Man 2. We could have our videos. Some idiot on Twitter is going to retweet and it's going to get 20,000 likes about how we don't know anything about or what, comic books or our podcast. And then we get hit by not having a lot of people coming on to our page. And that's not what we're about. We wanted to do a podcast where if everything else is negative, we want to be informed. We want to have original opinions, but most importantly, we want it to have a welcoming conversation. Without that welcoming conversation, I feel like the Invincibles dies. We need to have that welcoming conversation because there is no reason why cape shit should result in people getting bullied.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk about things we enjoy and we have a good time with it. And yeah, that's what this is built on. And I've a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm.
It's just we made t-shirts,
Yes.
mine's in the laundry because it's so comfortable to wear. I'm not gonna lie. I love it.
It's
Yeah.
actually all right material, isn't it?
It's comfortable. Like I'll use it to work out. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like it's comfortable, bro. So I mean, like that. I don't know. It just feels right doing the Invincibles, and it just feels nice that. So at the time we started Invincibles, right? I had another podcast, which fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how I feel it, I'll announce it right now. South Asian Soliloquies is dead. That podcast is not coming back. So sorry, everyone. Because I've outgrown it. So like, there's not like a sad sob story or anything like that. It's just I love doing the Invincibles podcast. I love talking about superheroes. My other podcast, it dealt with a lot of like contemporary world issues, and it was a very political show, right? I'm a very left-leaning, very liberal individual, not Democrat. I don't believe people can live ethically in a capitalistic society. I mean, poverty should not exist. We normalize it. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But I'm very liberal. I'm not. I'm a leftist. I'm not a Democrat. I just want to make that clear. The reason why that's important is because I really care about human values. I really care about equity. I really care about getting rid of the meritocracy, right? So like there's a lot of people who it's like, oh, I got to this place in my life because of my merit and my hard work. And it's like, bro, we just don't live in a world where your merit alone can get you anywhere. There is a lot of systemic pressures and barriers. And when we get rid of them and we can factually confirm that, then we can talk about meritocracy. But I find in my personal life and online, and especially coming from like a conservative Muslim world, there is just a lot of perspectives and viewpoints and opinions that I argue just hurt humanity. That are just, and I'm not saying that inherently with religion. I want to make that clear because I know somebody's going to be like, you just insulted Islam. No, I didn't. I'm not even talking about Islam. It's just, for example, how many, South Asian guys do you know outside of me, like in your life?
None, pretty much.
Okay, never
No,
mind.
I know. Like, well, I know them, but like ones that I'd call personal friends, probably none. But I do know a couple. But like, you're the only one I'd call my friend, really.
Appreciate it, bro. But no, I was saying brown boys, right? Talk about South Asian boys. They have a bad habit of saying the N-word all the time.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that like thinking they're cool, but they'll never say it around a black person, right? But saying that N-word is still wrong if you're non-black or whatever, right? So that's what I mean when I'm talking about from my community. I deal with a lot of that. I deal with a lot of just stupid behaviors that I observe in the world, wrong perspectives, wrong actions that I view in the world that I'm like, I just can't let slide without addressing it because with great power comes great responsibility, right? Trying to make the world a better place. So I made that podcast addressing social issues in the world. But when it got to the Andrew Tate episode, and I argued with evidence before anybody was saying it about how he is he's convicted now, so I can say it. He is a human trafficker. He does talk to underage. He wasn't convicted of this, but I had screenshot and evidences of him talking to, flirting with underage girls, 16-year-old girls, talking about the boyfriend groomer method. I had all of that evidence in the South Asian Soliloquies episode to put the argument forward that using the quote, only God can judge, or we don't know the facts, is a cop-out. Because we do know the facts, and we do know God's character, and we know that neither of those would endorse Andrew Tate. So why are you saying that anyway? So my point in that episode was to show that there is logical flaws in Andrew Tate fans. We need to stop believing that they were good people and they watched the video and they changed. The algorithm doesn't lie. If you found his videos and you watch it a lot, it's because you told the algorithm you want this content. We need to address the fact that there is something wrong, and a lot of Andrew Tate fans, let's just call it as we see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get that red pill content, you gotta want it. It comes from what you want. When I said that, I pissed a lot of people off. I was getting death threats. One person sent me my IP address in a DM. It was bad. So I stopped doing my South Asian Soliloquies podcast because I'm like, I'm doing this to try to, I'll be honest, to try to make the Muslim, Pakistani attitudes and cultures worldwide a more welcoming and a more liberal, modest, or moderate place, right? Because I'm tired of conservatism and I'm tired of just right-wing views. I was getting so much hate from my own people. I'm not talking like in person. I'm talking about like DMs worldwide. I was getting so much hate from my own people. I'm like, if I'm doing this for them and they're crapping on me, like Rorschach said, like, why would I help them? Why would I speak out about that? In that time, you came along and you're like, let's do this Invincibles podcast, blah, blah, blah. So it was just perfect transition. I'm going to stop talking about stuff that gets me emotionally upset, and I'm going to start talking about things that get me emotionally excited. Hence, going from the social issues of the world to the Invincibles. Now, I still want to cover social issues, but I think I'm going to do that going forward in blog posts.
Okay.
Because I feel like in order to talk critically about social issues and equity and financial issues and, violence and statistics and just trying to make the world a better place, I kind of want educated people to have a conversation with. And the more educated people will read in their free time. They're not going to just TikTok it. So I think that's what I'm going to do, to also kind of minimize the hatred that's going to come my way. And if I do have criticism, it'll come from a scholarly, intellectual debate perspective, not retweets and not DMs. So I said that to say the Invincibles really saved my love of podcasting and editing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was ready to stop content creating. I was done. I'm done. I'm tired of people saying I'm a bad Muslim, which I know I am, but I'm tired of people saying that and other people agreeing. That pissed me off. I am not a community clown, bro. Like, if I say I'm a bad Muslim, that don't mean you got a parrot. You're not a parrot. I'm not a pirate. Polly don't want a cracker here. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't got to say it. So, it's that's really where it came down to. And I thank you for that, because if it wasn't for the Invincibles in these past 6 months of just getting the best feedback ever, like text messages, like friends, I've screenshotted and sent you what random people have said, how much they love our show, how much we really are just nerds talking about nerdy stuff unabashedly, and people love that.
I feel like what makes it work is we both love the same things, but we each have our field of expertise. So when we talk about Spider-Man, you can go into depth on Spider-Man, pull out some random comic from your desk, from like you've got all those on your wall, and then when we're talking about Invincible, it's sort of the other way around.
Yes.
And then when we're talking about wrestling, we both we both just love wrestling. And then when it's with Star Wars, I'm a nerd about Star Wars, so I'll do loads of mad in-depth research on that. And then you'll talk to me about like this Aquaman comic that you've read, this like niche Aquaman story.
I love
So
Aquaman.
we both love the same things, but we each have our sort of areas in it as well, which we can talk at length about, which I think and the areas that we can both talk at length about are sort of different as well. So I think that's what makes it really work. And I'd tried a bit of podcasting before. I did a couple podcasts which are still on Spotify. The Film and TV Hub podcast, what a shit name that is. And then the Nuff Said Podcast, which is quite a good name for a comic book type podcast. That was with my good friend Danny, who's a very, very talented writer. You can still listen to them podcasts, but they only did about 2 or 3 episodes of each, I think. But that was a couple of years ago now. But this really sort of
changed the game.
Yeah, reignited my love for podcasting, and sort of it's we're still learning how to do it. I think we're going to change the software, recording software again soon from Zoom to sort of make it sharpen things up a bit. And we're doing everything on a tight budget as well. I've got a shit £10 mic off Amazon, but we're trying and we're getting better and we're learning. So, and as we do that, the quality of our content's going to get better. So,
well, it's funny you should say you have a shit mic. I agree.
You agree I have a shit mic?
So I got you a new one.
No.
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
No.
Just send me your address and everything. That's all
You're having me on.
No, I'm dead serious.
That's going to be an empty box, isn't it?
No, I'm being like, do you want me to open it?
Mate.
I'm being, bro, it's still got the plastic on it.
Oh, that's... Oh, mate, you didn't have to do that.
Bro, hey, this is what, a 6-month celebration of the Invincibles, bro? Like we roll out in style here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how I'm gonna send this to you though. Like I have to look at all that other stuff. If we have to buy shipping and it takes a month, so be it.
You have to get a good amount of bubble wrap for that.
Yeah. Like I don't know how to do all of that stuff, but yeah, there you go.
Oh,
and your
wow.
your mic isn't shit, to be fair. I had to be catchy and get your attention. But yeah. Happy halfway, well, not halfway because that implies it's gonna be over, but happy 6 months, like,
oh, wow. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, bro.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Not a problem. This is all you.
Yes.
And also this will really help with gameplay too. Like you can just plug it into the PlayStation and boom, there you go. Audio play.
Production value's going up, people.
Yeah, production value. Bro, you came all the way over from the UK, and I had to, I made that happen. So we're gonna make this happen.
Yes.
We're gonna make this happen. So this is all you guys. This is, or not guys. I'm not doing a giveaway. This is all you. This is all you, Ollie.
Oh, that's incredible. That's
what it's all about.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, bro. It's in the laundry.
Well, what a heartwarming note to end this episode on.
Yeah, I think. See you guys next week, next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be exciting.
Yeah. Don't know what the next episode's gonna be yet, but it's gonna be a belter. Tune in.
No, I think you know what we should do? Ahsoka.
Oh yes. Oh, we have
Ahsoka.
A bit of differing opinions on this, don't we?
Ahsoka. That's the plan. Yeah. But with that,
yeah,
we're gonna log off now.
See you later.
See you.